Hey everybody, it's been a while since the last video from our Alps trip came out, but I'm back with day 6 of our adventure. Today we'd be riding from Bretz to the Mendel Pass, down to Bolzano, and then we'd get into the Dolomites at the end of the day. The Dolomites, one of my favorite places in the world. With 94 kilometers, it was one of the shorter days of our trip, but numbers can be deceiving. There were challenges along the way, and I remember it as being one of the harder days. The night before, the host at our hotel had told us that breakfast wouldn't be served until 8. We were all ready to roll out by 7:15, but the host waved us into the dining room with the table beautifully set. Obviously, we did not turn down that opportunity and had a really nice breakfast. After we rolled out, we were right on the approach to the Mendel Pass. Yesterday, at the end of the day, we had gained a good amount of elevation already, and so the amount of climbing left to the top of the pass didn't seem all that bad. The roads were all empty and sunny, and we soon even found a bike path parallel to the road. Or so we thought. It didn't take too long until the path was no longer so parallel. Rather than the steady gradient of the road, we had alternating steep ramps, followed by flat sections, followed by steep ramps. I'm not entirely sure why, but that morning I was really pissed off by that. And so I decided to just switch to the road. Unfortunately, at that point, Ben was behind me, out of sight. My assumption was that the path and road would just keep intersecting with each other, and so we would meet up again shortly, because Ben usually was faster than me anyway. That assumption was wrong though. The longer I waited on top of the pass, the worse I felt about dumping Ben. And when he finally arrived, he was clearly not in a good mood. The bike route had completely diverged from the pass road in a way that bike routes so often do. Ben grumbled something about double-digit grades, unnecessary downhills, legs shaking. Sorry, Ben, I still feel bad about this. Anyways, we had a descent ahead of us. The Mendel Pass marks the boundary between the Italian-speaking Trentino and German-speaking Südtirol. The descent from Mendel Pass is amazing. It starts with 8 tight switchbacks, mostly in the forest, and then you have the section where the road is cut deep into a steep cliff. The road is only 1 lane wide and secured against rockfall with netting. And you have grandiose views of the Adige Valley and the peaks of the Dolomites in the distance. And still, pretty much no traffic at this time of day. So, absolutely a highlight.
And there he goes.
Responsibly.
Responsibly taking off downhill.
And that's me, you can talk.
Bottom of the pass, how convenient, there was a shopping center with a really nice grocery store. We hadn't stopped for groceries all day yesterday and were therefore pretty low on supplies. The grocery store, how convenient again, was also right on the bike path that we would follow towards Bolzano, the capital city of the South Tyrol province. Again, this was one of the higher quality bike paths. It runs on the former route of a narrow gauge railway, complete with tunnels and gentle grades. It was also all downhill. Bozen was bustling with people on bikes. A mix of people touring the popular route along the Adige and Isaac rivers, as well as many locals. But we just kept going and passed through following the bike path along the Isaac River. This is another former rail line running parallel to the freeway toward the Brenner Pass, the current railroad, and an old road, all crammed into a narrow valley. After maybe an hour, our route would take us out of the valley. But as soon as we left the bike path, we faced a large tunnel portal with very heavy traffic and going uphill. We stood around a bit and weighed our options, but we agreed this tunnel is not one of those options. We looked at the map, identified an alternative route which would depart the valley a few kilometers upriver. As we kept following the river, we would occasionally see the route not taken, being way up above the valley floor. And so it was not a huge surprise that our alternative route was steep and fully exposed to the midday sun. For the very first time on this trip, and possibly the last time, we had to get off our bikes and walk. I think this picture captures pretty well how I felt about all of this. That's where I'm coming from. My suffering.
On the map, it wasn't clear that this road would actually go through. I mean, we hoped.
Yeah, it looked reasonably promising,
Yeah.
but yeah. Things flattened out a bit eventually, but overall we were still climbing. It was a mix of seemingly pointless up and down and several bumpy gravel sections. Who had planned that route? Oh, right. We finally got back to the main road, and after a very steep but also not very long climb, we reached pass number 2 of the day, the Passo Pinei, or Panidersattel in German. It's not a very spectacular pass, but we sure were glad to be done with the climbing, at least for now. I think this pass was part of the Giro this year, I think. Yeah, we saw. I think so. I think we saw some like banners and stuff.
Some evidence that it had been there.
Yeah. From the pass, we descended into the Val Gardena. The valley floor is pretty high up, well over 1,000 meters, and so it was not a very long descent. The climbing and the sun had definitely taken a toll on me at this point. My brain was feeling rather mushy. Because of our less than ideal route earlier in the day, we didn't fully trust our track, and Ben was trying to make adjustments on the go to make sure we didn't take any unnecessary detours or would end up with unnecessary up and down.
No, we should go.
I don't think I was
there's a
very
road right
helpful
on the
in navigating us.
Left side of the river. No, I'm not sure, because there's bike trail there. That's not. Yeah, this is not on the map.
But hey, it was all fine in the end, and the last part of the route was actually yet another rail trail, gently leading us up the valley into Selva, our destination of the day. Because nothing else was available, we had booked a pretty fancy hotel, which unfortunately was located at the edge of town at the end of a very steep road. Ben waited outside while I was checking us in. The very friendly person at the front desk insisted on showing me our room, which unfortunately involved a trip in a small elevator. I was reeking. And we all know when you can smell yourself, it's really, really bad. We ended the day with our first pizza and pasta trip. Even though this involved biking down into town again and back up that steep hill that I mentioned earlier, I really, really wanted pizza and pasta. And I think it was worth the extra trip in the end. Tomorrow we'd be hitting some of the famous Dolomites passes, but that's a story for another day.